Mona, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Tell me about your business. Tell me where you guys are located. Tell me your website address, your social media handles, all that good stuff.
Great. Hi, I'm Mona from New Events and LeiAloha Wedding and Event Planners. We're based in Honolulu, Hawaii. The website for New Events is www.newevents.com. And New stands for Naturally Elegant and Unforgettable. So NEU,
Okay.
events, yes. LeiAloha is LeiAloha.com.
Nice. Nice.
Same for our social media handles.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's good. A lot of times it's hard to get the same social media handles sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, but glad you got it. So tell me, what inspired you to become a planner? How long you been doing this?
Great. So it's been 20 years in the
Wow.
industry of planning weddings. Yes. I've seen a lot over the last 20 years.
I
And
bet. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a great ride. And I kind of fell into it, to be honest. Back in 2000, my best friend and I started our own company. We wanted to do public relations, and a lot of times public relations involves special event planning.
Yep.
And at the time, I was also working at a hotel, a small boutique hotel located in Waikiki. And so I was already doing weddings and events for the hotel there. And since a lot of our friends knew that I had the wedding and event background, and because we had started our own company, it was easy to help our friends with their weddings. And sure enough, we segged into weddings almost exclusively. Now
Nice.
it's about 75% weddings and 25% other types of events.
What other type
But,
of events do
yeah.
you do?
Other types of events would include nonprofit fundraisers or grand openings, client appreciation parties, or other milestone events,
Nice.
birthdays, anniversaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Um, so wow, have you always been in Honolulu, or were you in somewhere else?
For wedding and event planning, always in Hawaii.
Okay.
I've lived outside of Hawaii as well, Massachusetts, Madrid, and Osaka, Japan.
Okay.
Um, but Hawaii's home.
Yeah, it's beautiful there. Speaking of that, I mean, we all know it's beautiful there. Like it's like it's the place to go for vacation, right? And to get married and to just enjoy. But what would you say? I'm sure you've heard of or seen other weddings in other places, but what would you say that makes Hawaii so interesting and awesome to get married at?
Oh my gosh, there's so many reasons. I think the culture here is very unique. It's very welcoming. The dance, the music, the cuisine is also unique and appealing.
Yeah.
We also have wonderful weather year round. So we do weddings every month of the year.
Yeah.
Some months are a little rainier than others, but it's not enough to put a damper on most weddings. And we've got something for everyone here. So budget-wise, we run the gamut of luxury to budget offerings. And also, if you are an outdoorsy person, great hiking and beaches, of course.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you like nightlife or shopping, we've got that too.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about Hawaii is just 30 minutes from the beach, you can go up into the mountains and it's a whole different climate. It's pretty awesome.
I'm so glad you got to experience it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And then when you're on top of the mountain and you're just kind of looking over, and you're looking down to the other side, it's just like, wow, unbelievable. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Breathtaking.
So most of your couples, do they find you online? Do they come through referrals? I know a lot of people travel. I mean, Hawaii is a big travel in opportunity, place for people to come and get married. So you just get them from traveling in, and then they're looking you up. Do they contact you prior? Where do most people come from for you?
Most people do contact us prior. They usually, actually, a lot of our weddings, our clients come from referrals.
Nice.
So that's such a huge blessing.
Yes.
If somebody has a good experience with us and is willing to recommend us, we couldn't be more honored and privileged.
Yeah.
So the majority of our leads come from referrals, but we also are lucky to be referred by hotels and resorts and venues in the area. Yelp is also another great source of referrals for us as well, as
Nice.
is social media. The
Yeah.
best is when we do siblings weddings. So if
Nice.
either the bride or the groom gets married with us and their sibling gets married after with us,
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do most of your people come in from out of town, or do you guys do local weddings as well?
we do both. Yes, local and destination.
Do you
So
find that most people? I mean, I know already, but data wise, a lot of people come in from out of town to come into Hawaii to get married. Do you feel like? I mean, do you? Is it a good mix for you, or do you get most of it is out of town?
Uh, it varies from year to year. So some
Interesting.
years we get more destination weddings, and some years we get more local weddings, and we're very grateful for both. I mean, in a time of a pandemic, however,
Yeah.
the destination weddings are a little bit harder to attract.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but we're here, and we want to be able to help all couples get married in
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Cool. That's great. So tell me about the process. So someone contacts you. What is the process that they go through to, what do you go through, before, like, I'm sure they have a ton of questions. Are you a good fit? I mean, what are all the things that someone would need to go through with you regarding having you plan their wedding?
Right. So oftentimes they're reaching out to us via email or through our contact form or messaging us on social media. And if I'm able to kind of vet them in a way that makes the most sense for them, I'd like to try to do that. So sometimes they will be more of a better fit for new events, which is more full service and a lot of customization.
Hmm.
Then I would ask them to consider new events. But sometimes all they're looking for is day of coordination, something very streamlined
Yeah.
and more accessible, in which case I would say maybe LeiAloha Wedding and Event Planners would be a better fit.
Hmm.
So usually they're reaching out to us for an initial inquiry and information, but I really, really love to be able to speak with couples, just like we're doing now via
Yeah.
Zoom or by phone or FaceTime. And I think having a good personality fit is really helpful, especially since the planning process is usually several months long.
Yeah.
And this person, the planner, will be in their corner, their representative, their friend
Yeah.
throughout the process. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, one of the questions I get from couples is like, well, what's the difference between a planner and a coordinator kind of thing? So, how would you respond to that question?
I like to think of the planner as the person that's got the overall big project in mind, and someone that's kind of steering the ship in terms of overall design and project management. Whereas to me, a coordinator is the one who's really boots on the ground, helping to pull all of the elements together, liaising with the vendors, and actually doing a lot of the day-to-day work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That makes a lot of sense. So when couples, when you're doing full service planning, you're pretty much doing everything for them. But the people that are doing like coordination, or like day of kind of thing, do they already hire all their people, or are they still relying on you guys to hire like photography and find a venue and all that stuff for them?
So if it's looking at just day of coordination, a lot of times they will have already booked all of
Gotcha.
their vendors and their venue ahead of time. Sometimes they reach out to us early on in the planning process, and they want additional help, and we can provide them with that support with hourly consultations.
Nice.
So yeah, we try to be as
Yeah,
flexible.
that's good. That's good. Yeah, awesome. What questions should be so if someone's looking to come have a destination wedding,
Huh?
what questions should they be thinking about um, asking other people that they might be interviewing to be their planner for them or their coordinator for them? Or what other things should they be thinking about in general as they're deciding to come to Hawaii for a wedding?
Mhm. So when considering which planner to work with here in Hawaii for their destination wedding, I think some helpful things to know right out of the gate would be what is the communication schedule and timing and frequency like? Some people want a lot of communication and they want to be able to contact their planner frequently for advice, tips,
Mhm.
or brainstorming, or soup to nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas
2
other
a.m. in the
people
morning. Hey, what are you doing?
right, right. Or how often would we meet? Or you know, are you available by phone or
Right.
text? Yeah, frequency of communication. Um, and so if they're looking at getting married in Hawaii, what kind of questions they should ask? It would be, I think a big one would be things like the weather.
Yeah.
So certain months are a little bit wetter than others, but for the most part, we've pretty much got a lot of sun.
Yeah.
So, some people want a longer day, or some people want it to be a little cooler.
Mhm.
So, look at the ideal time of year for them. Also, I think it's helpful to explore different days of the week.
Okay.
A lot of times people want Saturday weddings, but there's a lot of advantages to looking at other days of the week. So those are things to consider. What makes a lot of sense for them and their guests.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Are there other things they should be thinking about since they may be traveling from another country or from another state that maybe they haven't thought about? Like, I don't know, there could be like weather is one of them, right? But are there any logistic issues that they need to be thinking about? Like, for example, if they're bringing 25 guests and grandma's coming with them and she's in a wheelchair, probably not a good idea to have a wedding up on a mountain somewhere, right?
Right,
Or
right.
way down in a beach when you can only get to it through some weird way, right?
Right. Um, so for people who are coming from out of state, it's helpful to know that Hawaii is the 50th state, so they won't need a passport or any currency
Good.
conversion
Yeah, that's good
or
enough.
worry about the language.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of people travel to Hawaii for their weddings, or their guests will travel here from different countries.
Mhm.
So yes, we are entirely U.S. based, so U.S. dollars. English is the predominant language here. Um, but if they do have people coming from other non-English speaking countries, we can definitely provide support, whether it be with translators or interpreters
Okay.
or bilingual offerings. So it's kind of helpful to explore those options and to understand what the guests are going to be going through so that they can get the best support while they're here.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would be your number one advice for couples that were coming there to get married?
The number one advice for couples getting married in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Um, get ready for an amazing time.
Nice.
um, okay, so more practically speaking,
Yeah.
definitely on the wedding day, they should be very hydrated with water.
Got you.
Because we have had people fall ill because they weren't properly hydrated. Maybe they've been out in the sun too much or
Yeah.
partying and
Partying
the
too much the night before, perhaps.
right. And the last thing we want is for anyone to pass out on the wedding day.
Yeah.
Definitely sunscreen too. People do not realize how hot it is here or how strong the sun's rays are. And it's a lot to ask a photographer or a videographer to touch up all of the images because of a sunburn.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah.
So water, stay hydrated, and sunscreen. Those are the main things, right?
Oh yeah, there's tons more things too. Like if you're outdoors, wind can be a factor. So choose a style that is wind friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
especially on the
even,
beach, right? Probably because it's more windy on the beach.
yes, yes. Or even like a lot of times grooms will wear a lei, but if they're going to have themselves mic'd for videography purposes, sometimes the rustling of the lei will cause feedback in the audio.
Yeah.
So maybe consider wearing the lei after the ceremony, after the
Yeah.
exchange of vows. Lots of little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Um, Over the past couple of years, I'm sure trends have changed a little bit. But what do you see couples asking for today that you didn't see a couple of years ago?
I think the biggest thing would be customization and personalization. People, I'm finding, are really wanting to make their wedding about unique and something that really speaks to who they are as a couple. So sometimes it's through the music or through the choice of cuisine
Mhm.
or through the decor. So and that's what we're all about, is the more personalization we're able to offer, the better.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's all about creating a unique and one of a kind experience for couples, and it has their brand on it.
Right. Right. That totally makes sense. Let's switch gears a little bit. Talk about the business side of things. What would you say for you guys over the past couple of years has been working well for you?
I think networking is probably what I like to emphasize and to encourage other businesses to think about. So on occasion, we would have what we call a pauhana, which is like it means happy hour.
Okay.
We would,
Sounds like
invite,
happy hour.
yeah, yeah. So we would invite other wedding vendors to come and join us. Totally no agenda, and to just hang out and get to know one another. And we've gotten some really good feedback because a lot of times different people in the wedding industry don't know each other if they're not in the
Yeah.
same vendor category. So, for example, hair and makeup artists wouldn't have the opportunity to work with or to meet a stationer, or a stationer wouldn't have the opportunity to see a DJ in action. So, although we're all in the same industry, a lot of times we are strangers to one another. So
Yeah.
it's really nice to be able to help foster those relationships amongst our others in the industry. And the nice thing is people get to work better together, for those who do have the opportunity to work in the same space at the same time.
Mhm.
And also it builds up cross referrals. So people are
Yes.
much more willing to refer each other if they know
Yeah,
them
for
and work
sure.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I hear that all the time too. I mean, that's obvious. It's obvious to people that have been doing it right, but to some people it might not. Like you said, like stationer versus a hair and makeup person, right? Maybe they don't, they don't interact with certain people as often, right? So yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Outside of COVID, what would you say has been like your biggest challenges over the past couple of years?
So personally, I think finding a good work-life balance has been a challenge.
That's always a challenge.
I'm sure I'm not the only one with that
No.
challenge. But yeah, I've been working at it, and as much as I love what I do, and I love the business and working with couples, I found that it's important to make time for myself and my loved ones too.
Yes.
And yeah, so I've been focusing on that, and it's a little easier with with the pandemic.
Yeah, for sure.
I've taken
Right.
to doing Zumba instead of at the gym. Doing it in front of the TV with YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something that's really valuable, is having good work-life balance, and I'm constantly working on that.
Constantly working on lots of things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If you had to go back 5 years ago, what would you go back and tell yourself?
If I had to go back a few years ago, I would say um, to really value health. So I'm in a good position because my health is fine, but I'm seeing a lot of people in the industry whose health is failing for whatever reason, and a lot of times it's stress related, um, or genetically hereditary,
Yeah.
whatever sort of reasons. But it's so easy to take our health for granted. So I would go back and say, make sure to value your own health and the health of your loved ones,
Yeah.
and that includes the loved ones in our industry too, our colleagues.
Yeah. It's interesting how what you just said is like why we wait until we're older before we start thinking about taking care of ourselves. I don't, you know, I know personally I didn't do it when I was younger. I was not taking care of myself at all. But as you get older, you're like, I should probably take care of myself. I should eat a little better, right? I should exercise, right? I should, yeah,
Or make time to do things you love. Like I see you have guitars.
yes, or do things that you love to do. Yeah, play
Yeah.
music. I love music. I'm well, certain types of music. I love instrumental music. So that's my favorite. But yeah,
Oh, well, I hope you heard some slack key guitar while you're here in Hawaii.
I didn't, but I did buy a little ukulele when I was there. So
Awesome.
yeah, I had to have one. So it's like okay. Um, my last question is, what is your most inspirational wedding story that you have?
The most inspirational wedding story would be the one I'm working on now. And I know that we're going to touch base about it in a bit. But
Yeah.
uh, what I love about the wedding that I'm working on now is that I get to work with my colleagues in the industry. So that would be other wedding planners. So this particular wedding actually has four different wedding planning companies involved.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and just a wonderful team of vendors. And it's not a traditional wedding, so it's
It's,
wonderful to see people come together to share a vision and to um, act as a team. Yeah.
yeah, do
So
something new and exciting.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome.
I
Good. Mona, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great
appreciate it
weekend.
too.
Thank you.
You.
Bye bye.
Bye.